Morning, children. So in today's class we will continue with the exercise questions only. So the second question in the exercise is, what are the limitations of J.J. Thomson's model of the atom? So first limitation is, he did not satisfactorily explain the arrangement of protons and electrons in an atom. He did not explain how the positive charge holds on the electron inside the atom. Okay. One more limitation was, he failed to explain stability of atom. Also, this theory did not mention anything about nucleus of an atom. So these three limitations you can just add up in this question. Okay. Next question, what are the limitations of Rutherford model of the atom? Though Rutherford model was it was better than the Thomson model, because here you could see he proposed the existence of nucleus. Also he explained about the location of subatomic particles that was there, that is proton and electrons. But still it has one of the most important limitation, and that was, he did not explain the stability of an atom. In terms of what? As according to his model, electrons revolve in a circular orbit or circular shell. So electron will undergo acceleration and loses energy continuously in the form of radiation. Okay, and finally fall into the nucleus. Okay, and make the nucleus and ultimately the atom unstable. Okay, so he did not justify how the electrons which are revolving around the nucleus in a well defined circular path, that is called orbit, will not lose its energy. Okay, and if it loses its energy, then it will finally fall into the nucleus and make the atom unstable. So because he was not able to justify his answer, it became one of the limitations of Rutherford's atomic model. So this you can write in the limitation part of Rutherford's model. Okay. Now next question. Describe Bohr's model of the atom. Okay, so you have to explain about Bohr's atomic model. At the same time you have to draw also the atomic model given by Bohr. Okay, so according to Bohr's atomic model, electrons revolve around the nucleus in a discrete orbit. Discrete orbit means the orbit which have the defined energies. Okay, and these orbits are called as energy shells or energy levels or the stationary states according to this model. Okay, now energy of electron remain constant as long as it remains in a given orbit or shell. Okay, so electron in a specific orbit will have a specific energy and it will not lose it as long as it remains in that specific orbit or shell. Okay, now electrons present in different orbits will have different energy. So as you could see here, the orbits or the shells are there, and electrons staying in those specific orbit will have the specific energies. So different electrons present in different orbit or the shell will have the different energies. Okay, and these energy shells are named as K shell, L shell, M shell, N shell, O shell, etc., and their shell number will be like 1 2 3 4 5 respectively. Okay, that means K shell, which is nearest to nucleus, will have the shell number 1. Then L shell, which is the second shell, okay, nearer to nucleus, it will get the number 2, and then 3 4 5 like that as the energy shell increases. Now electrons in K shell, that is the shell nearest to nucleus, will have the least energy. Okay, and as the shell number increases, that is from K, L, M, N, O, like that, as the cell number 1, 2, 3 increases, the energies of the shell also increases. That means K shell will have least energy, and L shell will have the energy more than K shell, then M still more, N then still more, like that. Okay, so these are some of the points you can just write to describe the Bose atomic model. Okay, next question. Compare all the proposed models of an atom given in this chapter. Okay, so you know that we studied about J.J. Thomson's atomic model, Rutherford's atomic model, and Bohr's atomic model. So these atomic models were proposed by different scientists like J.J. Thomson, Rutherford, and Bohr. So you have to compare these three atomic models. So you can again tabulate, okay, for comparing these three models. So in J.J. Thomson model, we could see here an atom consists of positive charge sphere and electrons are embedded on it. This was the explanation of J.J. Thomson's atomic model. Okay, whereas in Rutherford's atomic model, uh, according to it, protons are present at the center, that is on the nucleus, and electrons revolve around the nucleus in orbit. That was not given by J.J. Thomson. So J.J. Thomson satisfactorily did not explain the location of the electrons and a fine arrangement of electrons and protons as well. Whereas in Rutherford atomic model, the location or the position of subatomic particle was defined. Protons on nucleus and electrons around the nucleus in a well-defined path, circular path called orbit. When we see Bohr's atomic model, the picture was little more clear than these two models. Okay? In addition to the position of protons and electrons, his model was like that: protons are present on nucleus and electrons revolve around the different energy cells or the orbit having different energy. So he defined the shells as energy shells. That means the specific cell will have electrons present in the given cell will have the specific energies, and electrons in different shell will have the different energy. So he clearly picturized the energy shells and also the energies of the electrons in the orbit. Okay, what more comparison we can do? We could do here between these three models. J.J. Thomson model did not explain about nucleus. He did not say anything about the positive center or the nucleus. Okay, whereas in Rutherford model, his model did not explain about different energy shell, though he explained about nucleus and even orbit and shell also, but he did not talk about the energy shells, and that's why he could not justify why the stability of an atom if the electrons are revolving around the circular path, and how without losing energy the electrons remains in the specific orbit only. So he did not explain that. Okay, so he did not explain about the energy shell. He just said those circular path has orbit. Okay, whereas Bohr's atomic model, this model did not discuss about neutrons. Okay, though his Bohr's atomic model was better than J.J. Thomson and also the Rutherford atomic model, but still he did not explain about one more subatomic particle, that is neutron. Okay, so like that you can also write some more comparison if you have something in your mind, but these two are the that's how you can just compare between these three models. Okay, the next question comes: summarize the rules for writing of distribution of electrons in various shells for the first 18 elements. Okay, so for first 18 elements, when it is asked to do the distribution of electrons in different shells, that is to write the electronic configuration, you have to first go through the rules for distribution of electrons in various shells. Okay, and these rules are given by Bohr-Bury scheme. So there was Bohr-Bury scheme, and according to those scheme, the electrons are distributed in different energy shells. So what are the rules? We'll just go through. First rule is the maximum number of electrons present in shell is given by 2n square. Okay, so different energy shells can accommodate different maximum number of electrons. So by using the formula 2n square, where n refers to shell number, okay, you can just find out the maximum number of electrons which can be accommodated by different energy shells, that is K shell, L shell, M shell, N shell, O shell, like that. Okay, now second is the maximum number of electrons that can be accommodated in outermost orbit is 8. Okay, that means what? Electrons maximum number of electrons can be accommodated in any orbit is 8. ठीक है, except K shell. ठीक है, K shell or K orbit will accommodate maximum of 2 electron, and other than K shell like L, M, N, O and other orbits, the maximum number of electrons at a time can be accommodated is 8 in number. Okay, now electrons are not accommodated in a given shell unless the inner shells are filled. Okay, electrons are not accommodated in a given shell unless the inner shells are filled up. Okay, so first you have to fill the electrons from lower to higher energy shells. That means electrons are filled up first in the lower shell, and when the maximum number of electron is filled up in lower shell, then only you can start filling up the electrons in higher shell. It's like that. You know, K shell can accommodate maximum of 2 electrons. So until and unless 2 electrons are being filled up in K shell, you cannot fill the third electron. Okay, so first 2 electrons are filled up in K shell, then only it will start filling up the third, fourth or whatever the electrons in L shell. Similarly, when the maximum number of electrons, that is with 8 electrons are filled up in L shell, you cannot fill up the next 2 electrons in M shell. So maximum 8 electrons will be filled up in L shell first, and then if electrons are left or remained, then those electrons will be then filled up in M shell. Okay, so that's why it is written here electrons are filled from lower to higher energy shells. Okay, so next is define valency by giving example of silicon and oxygen. So by just showing the valency of silicon and oxygen, you have to define valency. Okay, so here, you know, at the beginning only I just told you that whenever you have to explain about valency, you have to first write the electronic configuration. You have to show it by electronic configuration. So we will just see here oxygen, its atomic number is 8, and so you can just do the electronic configuration as 2 and 6 of oxygen. Okay, so as you can see, 6 is showing the outermost electrons, so valence electrons will be 6. Now what about valency? So valency, you know, if the valence electrons are more than 4, then valency will be equal to 8 minus number of valence electrons, that is 8 minus 6, that will give you 2. Also, you know that valency is combining capacity of any atom with another atom to form a molecule. Okay, and why do atoms combine with other atoms of same or other elements? In order to complete its octet. Okay, in order to fill maximum of 8 electrons in its outermost shell. So as you can see, valence electrons are 6 in number here. So that is in L shell. So still two electrons, this oxygen atom is in need of two electrons to fulfill its outermost orbit, that is L shell, and to achieve the octet of structure. So you can also define valency as combining capacity of any atom with the other atom in order to fill its octet, ठीक है, or to achieve the octet of structure. So here the two electrons are required to possess the octet of structure by the oxygen atom. So we can just say that valency is equal to 2 here. Okay, similarly you can see in silicon. Silicon have the, it has the atomic number of 14. So there are 14 electrons. Then electronic configuration can be written as 284. So as you can see, 4 represents the electrons which are in outermost shell. So valence electrons are 4 here. Now you know how you can calculate valency. So you know that if the valence electrons are less than or equal to 4, then valency of that atom will be equal to valence electron. So valency automatically will be number of valence electron, that is 4 only. Okay, also here K, L and M shell has 4 electrons in it, and it is in the need of still 4 electrons to acquire or to possess the octet of structure. Okay, so silicon will possess octet of structure when its M shell is completely filled with 8 electrons, and 4 electrons are already there. So it requires 4 more electrons to possess the octet of structure. So we can just say that combining capacity or valency is 4 only. Okay, so I have written in the same way. Here oxygen needs 2 electrons and silicon needs 4 electrons to fill its 2, you can just write here, to achieve octet of structure. Okay, so if valence electrons are less than equal to 4, then valency is equal to number of valence electron, that is 4. And if valence electrons are more than 4, then valency is equal to 8 minus number of valence electrons. Okay, and as per a definition, valency is the combining capacity of any atom of an element with the other atom to form a molecule. Okay, so that's how you can just explain valency by just giving the example of oxygen and silicon. Understood? Next question is, explain with examples atomic number. So you have then mass number, isotopes and isobar. So first you have to explain what is atomic number of an element, what is the mass number, what is isotopes, and what is isobars. So atomic number, as I told you, it is the number of proton or number of electron in an electrically neutral atom or neutral species. Okay, don't write like that. Number you have to write in full word, NUMBER. Okay, so example, hydrogen has the number of its atomic number is 1. That represents what? It contains 1 proton and 1 electron. Similarly, sodium, its atomic number is 11. That represents there are 11 protons and 11 electrons. Okay, so like that you have all the elements atomic number, right from 1 to whatever the elements have been discovered till now, 118 elements. Okay, next is mass number. What do you mean by mass number? Mass number, it is the sum of total number of protons and neutrons in the nucleus of an atom. Okay, is it clear? Mass number means what? It is the sum of the total number of proton and neutron present in the nucleus of an atom. Okay. Example, sodium, atomic mass is 23. So here there are, its atomic number is 11. There means it has 11 protons. Okay. And 12 neutrons in it. Okay, so like that you have the mass number of every element. Okay, now we'll see isotopes. Isotopes, just now we have discussed. Isotopes are the atoms of same element having different atomic masses. Okay, so I gave many examples of isotopes of different elements, like hydrogen it has 3 isotopes, that is protium, deuterium and tritium. As you can see here, these are all the atoms of hydrogen element only, but if you see the atomic masses, they are different. In case of protium, atomic mass is 1, in case of deuterium its atomic mass is 2, and in case of tritium it is 3. Okay, so like that you have isotopes of most of the element. I also talked about isotopes of chlorine, isotopes of carbon. Okay, so you can just write other examples also in isotopes. Okay, isotopes of sodium also. Okay, now we will see iodine, cobalt, so many examples are there. Okay, isobars are the atoms of different elements having same atomic masses. Okay, so isobars are the group of atoms of different elements having same atomic mass. So different elements, you know that different elements have different atomic mass, but there are groups of elements whose atoms are having the same atomic masses. Example also I have given you. The common example just we can give of argon, okay, potassium and calcium. So as you can see, atomic number of argon is 18, potassium is 19 and calcium is 20, and their atomic masses are 40 for each. So as you can see, they are the atoms of different elements, but if you see their atomic masses, it is same, that is 40 for each element, each atom of the different elements. Okay, so like that you have other examples also, like 11 sodium 24 and 12 magnesium 24. So, okay, so like that you have other examples also. So that's how you can just explain these terms. The next is Na plus has completely filled K and L shell. Explain. Okay, as you can see here, Na plus, it is not an electrically neutral species, but it is an ion. Okay, so now it is in the question it is asked to explain that Na plus has completely K and L shell. So just to explain it, we need to first explain the sodium atom. You know, sodium atom has the atomic number 11. That means what? It contains, what is the atomic number is 11. So what is the proton number? It is also 11. Okay, what is the electron number here of sodium? Electrons are also 11, है ना? So if you write the electronic configuration, it is 2, electrons are 11, so 2, 8 and 1. Okay, now if we just see Na plus means what? There is a net positive charge on sodium, so its atomic number is 11 only of sodium. Okay, atomic number means you have number of proton 11. But what about electrons? What about electrons? as you can see, there is one net positive charge. That means there is one positive charge which uh, uh, which is not cannot be cancelled by the electrons. So the electron numbers, if electron number is 10, ठीक है, in sodium ion, then 10 electron will cancel all the 10, the effect of all the 10 protons. Now 11th proton, that is one proton which is left, cannot be cancelled because there are only 10 electrons. So 10 electron will cancel 10 protons and one proton is left, which will be the net charge on this sodium, and that's how sodium atom becomes sodium ion if there is lack of one electron in sodium. Okay, so here you can see electron number becomes 10. Here means one electron is removed from sodium atom and forms sodium ion, that is sodium cation. Okay, so now the electrons are 10 in number. How you can just distribute electrons in differential 2 and 8. Okay, in the case of sodium atom 2, 8, 1, on in the case of sodium ion it is 2 and 8 only. One electron has been removed from sodium, forming sodium ion here. Okay, cation. Now here you can see 2 electrons are in K shell and 8 electrons are in L shell. So K shell is completely filled here and L shell is also completely filled here. So that's how we can say sodium ion contains 10 electrons and 11 protons. So 10 electrons can be distributed in such a way that K shell will have 2 electrons and L shell will have 8 electrons. And as you can see, K and L shell are completely filled. So that's how you can just explain here कि sodium ion has completely filled K and L shell. Okay, you can just write one point here. After just showing this, you can just write one point here. So if we see the electronic configuration, K shell is filled up with maximum electron, that is 2, and L shell is also filled up with maximum electron of 8 electrons. So we can just say that in sodium ion K and L shell are completely filled. So that's how you can just explain. Okay, now next is, if bromine atom is available in the form of say 2 isotopes, 79 bromine 49.7% and bromine 3581 which is 50.3%. Calculate the average atomic mass of bromine atom. Okay, so you have been given one bromine, the sample of bromine. Okay, now bromine, in the sample bromine atom is found to be containing 2 types of bromine isotopes, that is bromine 3579 and bromine 3581. Now its percentage abundance, their percentage abundance are also given. It means it was found that bromine 3579 isotope is 49.7% in that sample, whereas bromine 3581 is in 50.3% in that bromine sample. Now it is asking here to calculate the average atomic mass of bromine atom. So in that bromine, the sample of bromine, you have to find out the average atomic mass of bromine atom, taking into consideration these 2 types of isotopes and their percentage abundance. Okay, so as I told you, if an element is having the isotopes, then its average atomic mass can be calculated by using one formula, that is average atomic mass of bromine is equal to sum of the product of molar mass and percentage abundance. Okay, sum of the molar mass sum of the product of molar mass and percentage abundance. Okay, so this is the product of molar mass and percentage abundance of bromine 3579, and this is the molar mass product of molar mass and percentage abundance of bromine 3581, and we have done the sum of those products.